Caravaggio can be considered the great innovator of 17th century painting. Intense realism, compelling sense of drama, and strong chiaroscuro all contributed to the success of his art and helped to establish his fame. This exhibition sheds light on the striking versatility of his oeuvre and puts the impact of his work into sharp relief. One of the reasons why Caravaggio was so much admired is that he successfully made his way up in the highly competitive Roman art world. Caravaggio arrived in Rome in his early 20s, and at the beginning he produced paintings for the open market, such as The Boy Bitten by a Lizard. Shortly afterwards, his paintings caught the attention of the great Roman collectors, and in particular his first masterpiece, The Fortune Teller. We see that Caravaggio, he took a gypsy woman from the street of Rome and he portrayed her in the act of telling a young man's future. And the picture is all about seduction, deceit, since the young man fails to notice that the gypsy woman is slipping a ring of his finger. Caravaggio's painting technique developed at an exceptionally high speed. As we can see in the two paintings Caravaggio made for his first great patron, Cardinal Francesca Maria del Monte. In The Musicians, he uses bright colors and he highlights the relationship between music and love. Instead, the very beautiful Saint Catherine is characterized by a strong use of chiaroscuro, and as such it's a kind of prelude to the great works he made for the Contarelli Chapel in San Luigi dei Francesi, his first public commission. What distinguishes Caravaggio is that he always makes sure that you immediately connect with the picture, but also that you keep looking at it. And this is a very good example. It shows the biblical story of Abraham, who is about to kill his only beloved son, Isaac. And it really happens before our eyes. And we can see, for instance, the terror on Isaac's face, and we can almost hear him screaming. But once we are drawn into the picture, you will discover details of the greatest refinement, such as the beautifully painted face of the angel in the manner of Leonardo, but also the poetic landscape in the style of Titian. This painting was made in 1603, and when Caravaggio was working on this picture, a Flemish painter and poet, Karel van Mander, put the finishing touches on his treatise on painting, a book that includes the first biography of Caravaggio. He writes, as to his way of painting, it's a wondrously beautiful manner for young painters to follow. And this is what happened. Many artists from Northern Europe, they crossed the Alps and went to see the paintings by Caravaggio with their own eyes to be inspired by them. These painters had many things in common with Caravaggio. They were young, they were ambitious, but above all, they too had surges of creativity and they became innovators in their own right. For instance, Gerard van Honthorst, the Dutch painter, he started experimenting with the use of torchlight and candlelight. Hendrick Ter Brugghen, he too used Caravaggio's compositions as a kind of point of departure, but then he introduces a new element, a highly original sensitivity to color. Among the French, Valentin de Boulogne stands out. Like Caravaggio, he led a bohemian life and he produced pictures full of energy. His David and Goliath, for instance, is a beautiful work in which we can see how the biblical hero, handsome young man, stares at us with an intense gaze. In the last rooms of the exhibition, we move from Rome to Naples, and I think visitors can feel a kind of change of atmosphere. Caravaggio, in May 1606, fatally wounded a young swordsman named Ranuccio Tommasoni, a swordsman of considerable social standing, and afterwards, of course, he had to flee from Rome as there was a price on his head. And once in Naples, he really changes his style. He starts painting more freely, but above all, his paintings become darker, but by no means less powerful. He transmitted this kind of spirit to, for instance, Louis Vinson, a painter from Bruges, as we can see in the large allegory of the four elements. One of the highlights of the exhibition is, of course, the martyrdom of Saint Ursula, whose last painting, executed just a few weeks before his death. It offers a tragic vision of martyrdom. We can see how the young Ursula is struck by an arrow, but more importantly, Caravaggio also introduced himself as a witness. In the background we can find his self-portrait. And yes, this is indeed a very important picture with a very special place in the career of Caravaggio. And you need to see it with your own eyes, because yes, you do indeed come very close to the great master himself.